Myanmar is a rich country. I mean, China has very deep footprints there, and most of its intervention is what we may call extractive. So there are a lot of resources. There are minerals, there's timber, there are forest produce, horticultural produce. Dependence on Indian goods from Myanmar is also there. Besides food grain, pulses, we have sorry, not pulses, food grains, drugs and pharmaceutical, vaccine, and you name it. What I would say is that insurgency notwithstanding, there is scope for expanding the trade. We have identified certain locations in Arunachal, one more location in Manipur, and at least two or three locations in Mizoram where we find potential for starting the trade. In case of Nampong and all those areas, in the absence of a proper connectivity, proper road, proper parking facility, proper maintenance facility, storage and handling facility, lot of the quantum of trade is still measured in headloads. I'll give you an example. In Kamjong, it's in forgetting the name of the northernmost district of Manipur bordering Nagaland. It's a Naga-dominated area. Mm-hmm. There's so much informal trade happening that the village councils there, they have already mutated a sizable chunk of land in favor of the state government with the request and with the understanding that it will be transferred to land ports so that we can have a Moreh-like facility over there. So, वो तो Zorinpui will come in time, provided there is some traction along Kalada. Now, that itself is not happening.
Namaskar, this is Pratim Bose, and you are watching Podcast with Pratim. I have with me Mr. Jayant Singh, Chairman of Land Ports Authority of India. Welcome to the show, sir. And thanks for accepting the invitation.
Thank you, Pratim. Always a delight, pleasure talking to you.
Okay, that's so nice. Mr. Singh is Indian Railway Services Officer. He was formerly the Inland Waterways, heading the Inland Waterways Authority of India. So let's get into the context straight, because, but before that, a small introduction. With Pakistan out of the context, we do not have, and we do not have much of the land border trading activity with China. Mr. Singh is effectively in charge of building infrastructure and running them on Nepal, Myanmar, and Bangladesh border. I hope that's correct, sir.
And Bhutan.
And Bhutan, right. So, straight to the question, sir. You give me a short introduction to what's happening, what kind of infrastructures that you are building. The Myanmar border, you opened a ICP at Moreh long ago, but there is barely much trade over there. So whether we should build more infrastructure on that border. And Bhutan is, of course, good. Bhutan and Nepal are, of course, good. And in Bangladesh, we have our own problems. But before that, let's complete the Myanmar part. What's happening on that front?
So, as you're aware, the geopolitical scenario of Myanmar is quite volatile, with the Myanmarese army, the Tatmadaw on the one hand, and the assortment of insurgent groups, primarily divided across ethnic lines, who are controlling various portions of the Myanmarese territory bordering India. So if we start from Arunachal, we have the Kachins, and then we come further down, we have different factions of the Chins. Now, Chin, unfortunately, is not one unified, homogeneous kind of an entity. There are multiple groups. Now, there's a lot of infighting between them. If we come down further south, then you have the Arakan army, the Arakan Republican Army. So the insurgency landscape actually is an issue. And although of late there have been multiple offenses by the army, by the Tatmadaw, and they have managed to make some inroads, but we still are not very, very sure to what extent the writ of the state will run in those parts. Now, having said this, the fact remains that due to the historical connection between people, the common ethnicities, and the complex geography of the place, there is a fairly large quantum of informal trade that is going on as we speak.
Yeah.
Now, there are two sides to it when we talk of bilateral or multilateral trade. Is that facilitating that informal trade so that the populations on either side of the border, and vast majority of the populations are peaceful, right? There are our own citizens, and they have these ethnic linkages with their brethren across the border. So on those humanitarian grounds, and to make sure that if, there are no shortages, that informal trade should continue. The second dimension is that the potential for formalizing that trade and augmenting that quantum is enormous. Now, Myanmar is a rich country. I mean, China has very deep footprints there, and most of its intervention is what we may call extractive. So there are a lot of resources. There are minerals, there's timber, there are forest produce, horticultural produce. Dependence on Indian goods from Myanmar is also there. Besides food, grain, pulses, we have not pulses, food, grains, drugs and pharmaceutical, vaccine, and you name it. So there's a lot of possibility of a lot of symbiotic trade. So if I situate the trade as it exists and the potential, and juxtapose it with the insurgency landscape, what I would say is that insurgency notwithstanding, there is scope for expanding the trade. Now, what we are doing about it is this, that we have an ICP which is operational in Moreh, which is unfortunately not operational now, but that is more because of the situation in India. We have identified certain locations in Arunachal, one more location in Manipur, and at least two or three locations in Mizoram where we find potential for starting the trade. So it would entail creation of infrastructure in those areas. We cannot go, gung ho at a large scale facility like we have in Petra Port, but we definitely can make a beginning. But then the problem with land port is that we are only supposed to provide the necessary infrastructure. The manning and the operations and functions are done by a host of agencies. So we have the customs, we have the Bureau of Immigration, we have the border guarding forces, we have the plant and animal quarantine, and not to forget, which we sometimes tend to in central departments, what kind of a buy-in or what kind of support we'll get from the state government. Right. So Mizoram is very positive. Manipur also is fairly okay. I mean, states, there's no problem because they are the landowners, right? So they are quite positive. So we are going ahead we have a plan. So there are proposals, and we have discussed it at length with the MHA, and we are hoping that we'll go ahead for at least 2 or 3 locations on Myanmar.
Okay. Now, you said about Mizoram. So I visited Champai at least more than a decade ago, and it was almost ready by that time. The roads and etc. So I'm sure things are better, and it shouldn't take you a long time just to open a facility over there. But I understand, I don't know what will happen to trade because the trilateral highway is not ready.
So this is the trap we tend to fall into, especially the babus in Delhi and the academia. We always see it from end to end, an OD pair. Something originating in, say, Guwahati or Kolkata or Agartala and going all the way across the trilateral highway or the IMT highway. It doesn't work like that. These are small segments. You've been to Champai. Now, the trade, and that area, Rekhadar, the Indian border checkpoint is at a place called Zokathar. Yes. And next to Zokathar is Rekhadar. Now, that area is a scene of a lot of intra-Chin conflict. But in spite of that, the informal trade is really booming. So we have to develop now. Good thing is that there's been a high-powered visit of a team comprising officials from LPAI, Customs, Assam Rifles, Bureau of Immigration, and the state government. So they have made some very, very positive recommendation, and we are all ahead. we are all gung-ho about it because the state government has agreed to hand over those premises where right now trade is happening to us. There's only a small logistical impediment, infrastructural impediment is a bridge which is slightly rickety. It can withstand the transit, the passage of a small tempo or whatever, but it can't handle a truck. But that can be done. In fact, when we build the thing, I can actually get that thing repaired also. So the moment I get a sanction, we'll start working on it. So Zokatar, I think you really hit the nail on the head. That should be and is our first priority on Myanmar border.
Okay, okay. You are talking about that bridge next to that Indian
Yeah, yeah.
facility. Yes, that's really rickety. Uh, you are looking at formalizing informal trade, right? So, these people, there's an open border and they are habituated in taking things in and out. So, will they really go by that process? Like, because if I understand correctly, formalizing means paying the duties and et cetera, kind of stuff.
Good, good. That's a good point. And that is the first question which I asked myself when I joined here. Ye hoga? What does it entail or how will it be done? You see, there are two sides to it. One is the regulatory side, definitely. The duty, what kind of FTA of at all, whatever trade agreement we
I
have.
mean, if I may interject, the first problem is the bank. Myanmar doesn't have much of banking facility. So how will it operate?
So so bank duties, etc., etc. So that notwithstanding, the SBI branch in Champai is having a daily transaction to the tune of anything from 8 to 10 crores.
Acha.
तो अभी भी transaction तो वो हो ही रहा है. A lot of this trade is subsistence trade, but I am relying more on the economies of scale and the benefits that accrue with wholesale movement as opposed to the absence or the presence of a regulatory framework. Abhi kya hai, if you, I mean, not so much in case of Mizoram and Zokathar, but in case of Nampong and all those areas, in the absence of a proper connectivity, proper road, proper parking facility, proper maintenance facility, storage and handling facility, lot of the quantum of trade is still measured in headloads.
Headloads, yes.
Right? Now, the moment we construct even a two-lane proper highway, an all-weather road, the quantum is bound to increase because there is demand on both sides. So I am basically banking more on the market than the regulatory part of it because abhi kya hai, everything is rudimentary, and because illicit trade is, if I actually were to, I've not done any study, I'm sorry, I won't be having the number, and very hard to put a number to the informal trade. But if I, do a gross aggregation of the illicit trade, the illegal trade, and the regular normal informal trade, the informal trade quantum is way more than the illicit trade. So there is demand, there is a need. So you create a facility, automatically thing will definitely, and that is a demand. And this is not something I am saying from any special insight. It's simply the request that has come about. I'll give you an example. In Kamjong, it's in forgetting the name of the northernmost district of Manipur bordering Nagaland. It's a Naga-dominated area. There's so much informal trade happening that the village councils there, they have already mutated a sizable chunk of land in favor of the state government with the request and with the understanding that it will be transferred to land ports so that we can have a Moreh-like facility over there. So the demand is coming from below. So we are just responding to that demand. So it will find, it's like, water finding its own way.
I agree with you. In fact, I did a survey in Moreh in 2017, and I estimated 1,500 crores of trade, informal. And I think a bigger market is, I don't know how you will regulate the goods trade, because we try to put into that same format as we do trade with USA. I mean, that is the problem over there.
Right, it won't work that way. I mean,
it doesn't work that way.
A different frame with which to see. put it.
If
Yeah.
we can take, I have been to Muse border between Myanmar and China, and the trade is very simple. They go with the Myanmarese currency, chat, and they just give it to a bank. They take yen, they mark it, and they go back, right? So if we can find out such cash-based systems over there, that I believe will work. It will work. Fantastically, it will work because people really need legal means to do business.
So what we have requested, as a part of its endeavor to check the influx of fake Indian currency notes, we are in touch with the Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance to install all these machines on borders. So as part of that, we can also insist that, this kind of bilateral transaction can be permitted. And I don't know who's the authority, which authority will actually decide whether it will be Ministry of Commerce or will it be the Department of Revenue. But this is eminently
I
doable.
understand this is finance ministry, which has a lot of say. I have been advocating it since 2015. I wrote a couple of things. I don't think that no one listens. Anyone listens to it.
I will take it. No, I will take it as my learning for the day. We can definitely pursue because this is a win-win situation. It's a very low-hanging fruit.
Very low hanging fruit.
Yeah, and a
You
lot of
make
it.
an easy cash a transaction process. You make it easy. You bring your cash. We are going to give you things. It will be formalized. We are going to fill it up. It's formalized. You
And
just go and do it.
when
Do the
we talk
shopping.
about formalizing, given the fact that we have decent internet connectivity at the border, we can even start looking at, the electronic transactions. It's eminently doable. We'll have to create some sort of an institutional mechanism for that, I'm sure. But, this is the advantage of building infra. Once you build infrastructure, these things, they automatically fall into place. CHAs and all this, suddenly, right now you won't have anything, but you make a land port, suddenly you have a half a dozen CHAs setting up their offices there. So,
It's very easy. It's very
yeah,
easy. If you want to put it into your system, the way your format is, put some guys over there with the
yeah,
kiosk.
exactly.
They
Yeah.
will fill up that form for that fellow, and
And
everything
in
is
fact,
done.
and whenever I sell the idea of a land port, I simply say that land port LPI will just provide you the physical infrastructure. The manning would be done by other service providers. This in turn generates a lot of local employment. So everybody gains out of this. A lot of smuggling or a lot of illicit activities take place because there are no formal channels of trade. So the moment you start formal channels of trade, you create the system, you create the infrastructure, automatically a lot of smuggling, people are diverted from smuggling to regular trade. And this is why I even advocate opening borders with Pakistan also for movement of goods. A lot of problems of our border region in Punjab can be mitigated if we open our commodity trade with Pakistan. And now things are normalizing between Pakistan and Afghanistan after all those tensions and all. There is no reason why we should not pursue it. Though I don't want to call it track two or anything, I just call it pure economic common sense and strategic common sense. We are grappling with the problem of drug menace, we are grappling with the problem of smuggling. So you divert the population for whom today the means of employment or means of income is smuggling, you divert them to legal trade on the one hand. And more importantly, you build economic dependencies and economic constituencies in Pakistan whose interest would lie in maintaining good relations within India. Today, the problem is army calling short because army has nothing to lose. In fact, it has only everything to gain if relations with India are tense. But tomorrow, if you are able to create a sizable chunk of population which is dependent on trade with India, they would definitely advocate a far friendlier approach to India, which would be of immense benefit to both the countries.
Okay. Did you make any formal proposal to the government on, I mean, you are part of the government, but to the ministry for opening trade channels with Pakistan?
No, I haven't made any formal proposal because we are also service providers. Of course, demand has come. So
You already have a facility ready at Atari.
we have a facility ready at Atari. We have one facility at Dera Baba Nanak at Kartarpur. We had one planned in Firozpur, one in Jammu. So I'm waiting for the local, the state governments and the local trade bodies to come up with something more concrete and tangible.
Did they approach you?
They have approached me a number of times, and we have passed on their concerns and everything. But this would require consensus across departments, across ministries, and also there will have to be. There is definitely a global political angle to it. Even that will have that factor would also come into play.
Yeah, true. A lot of issues. We will shift out of Myanmar altogether, but just a final question. Are you going to create that facility at probably the name is Jarimpui or something, and that's on the south?
So Zorinpui on the face of it looks a very good prospect because then it connects you to Kaladan,
Right.
Paletwa to Zorinpui. But the problem is Zorinpui immediate hinterland around Zorinpui does not is not really a good catchment. It's not a big catchment area. So both Zorinpui will come in time, provided there is some traction along Kalada. Now that itself is not happening.
Not
So I
happening.
don't see Zorinpui. So what I actually see the tangible, the doable are two locations on Myanmar. One is Zokhathar, which I'll be visiting. Then in fact, because of rains, I could not visit. I was supposed to go sometime in July, but now I'm postponing it to August.
You
And the other
cannot visit there before September. After
हाँ
September,
हाँ
in fact.
मुझे भी लगता है ऐसे ही होगा. And the
Yeah.
other location is further north in Arunachal Pradesh, near Arunachal Nagaland border, a place called Nampong, which is adjacent to the Pang Sao Pass, the historical trading route close to the Stillwell Road and all. So that area we have had preliminary informal discussions with people there and some rifles. So they are all very gung ho about this. So God willing, we have to do
I
something.
sincerely hope you succeed because we have been talking about goods, but actually the bigger chunk is on service. They need
Yeah.
Indian service. The Champai market goes on
And
simply
these
Myanmarese buyers.
absolutely, and these are the areas where trade had been going on in the past. We are not reinventing anything.
So all we need is, border trade is something. People must go to Muse border and learn how the border trade is done.